What about the song? Gordon, are you ready? Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Join me. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle whole.
Thank you, Debbie. I love starting with that song. So, good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where our mission is to join together to create a nourishing, liberal, religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world. Or as we say in short, create community, find meaning, and work for justice. We're glad to have you with us this morning. We are a very welcoming congregation, and we appreciate your unique experiences, backgrounds, beliefs, and lifestyles. If you're one of our long-term members or have been here a short time, or if you're joining us today for the very first time, we're so glad you're with us. We're also very glad for those of you who are streaming with us, and to those who are joining us today via Zoom, we welcome you as well. Would you like to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm a member of the congregation, and I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay, Bill. Bruce is our I'm getting feedback here. Our official host, but I'm Terry Anderson, and I'm visiting from Victoria this morning. So I'm going to.
And I'm Bruce Knotts, and I'm calling in from New York City. We've got two more, Cassandra and Mary.
I'm Cassandra Heidi I'm just up north in Colville.
As you can see, we have quality here this morning, but not quantity on Zoom.
Well, we're so glad you've joined us from all over the North American continent, it sounds like.
Let me turn the...
It's my pleasure today to welcome our guest, Jermaine Williams, this morning. He's the director of Freedom Project East, and I will introduce him in more detail later on in the service. I have no announcements this morning, so I would like to just have you take a few moments to greet each other and say good morning. Thank you. We'll have more time for conversation and good coffee after the service today. So now we turn from our informal greeting of one another to formally begin our service by lighting our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalism, the symbol of our unity and solidarity, of our openness and inclusion, of our community and individual uniquenesses. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world, and a beacon of hope to those in need. And may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost, and cast a healthy shadow of doubt where it has been found. For my opening reflection this morning, I'm going to be sharing the words of Jim Scott. This is in hymn number 1054 in our turquoise hymnal. And I'm going to be sharing verse 1 and 2, and you can check out the other verses if you would like. Jim says, "Let this be a house of peace, of nature and humanity, of sorrow and elation. Let this be our house, a haven for the healing, an open room for question and our inspiration. Let this be a house of freedom, guardian of dignity and worth held deep inside of us. Let this be our house, a platform for the free voice, where all our sacred differences here shall not divide us. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be our house of peace."
Please rise to sing the first in-service hymn of the morning. It's number 128 in your gray hymnal, if you would care to access that, or, of course, our screen. It's called "For All That Is Our Life."
We will now kindle our candles of care. Each time we gather as a congregation, there are always those who are with us in our minds and hearts, and who we want to wrap in our love and care. Let us share a moment in silence, embracing others who are here and here in our hearts and minds this morning. And you're welcome to say their names aloud as you are willing. those named aloud and those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering elsewhere in our world at this hour, we hold in our community of compassion. And we now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which sustains this community in its mission to the larger world. Just for your information, the special collection in the month of June will actually be for Freedom Peace East. So we wanted to share that with you this morning as well.
Good morning. For this morning's Time for All Ages, I'd like to invite my helpers up to join me. It is the last Sunday of Women's History Month, and so this is a story about some famous UU women. And here they are. Women in the 18th and 19th centuries were supposed to stay in their place, in the home, raising children, not getting an education, not voting, not working, not thinking for themselves. But somehow, Unitarian and Universalist women didn't always fit the mold.
I am Julia Ward Howe. You probably know me as the woman who wrote the Battle Hymn of the Republic. But I was also an active abolitionist. My husband and I supported John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry and were strongly against slavery. I also fought for women's rights, prison reform, and education for all. You know, in my day, women couldn't go to college, and poor people got no education at all.
I'm Clara Barton. I was a nurse on the front lines of the Civil War at a time when women weren't supposed to nurse soldiers, and it was brutal. I founded the American Red Cross. I was also a teacher and established the first public schools in New Jersey. People didn't think poor children or women should go to school, but I did.
And I'm Lydia Mariah Child. You know me, I think, as the author of that Thanksgiving song, Over the River and Through the Woods. Everybody loved my children's stories and my book, The Frugal Housewife. But my reading public wasn't thrilled when I joined the abolitionist cause and spoke out strongly against slavery. In fact, after I wrote a book calling for the immediate abolition of slavery, I lost most of my friends and my livelihood. I also helped slaves in the Underground Railway, and later I founded the Massachusetts Women's Suffrage Association, advocating for the vote for women, and I also worked for the cause of the Native Americans having their own language and religion.
My, you're certainly a remarkable group of women. I'm wondering, how many of you supported women's right to vote?
We all did.
Oh, wonderful. And how many of you actually got to vote in your lifetimes? What a shame. Is there anything you'd like to share to young women and men and old women and old men in the audience today. Julia Ward-Howe.
I say act on your beliefs.
Get involved, help others.
And I say, be brave, have courage, use your God-given hearts, talents, and minds to work for freedom and justice, even if it makes you unpopular.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
As we move into a time of meditation, please find a comfortable position. Put your feet on the floor. Close your eyes if you wish. Take a deep breath in. Breathe out. And reflect on these words from Andrea Lerner. Our faith is not interested in saving your soul. We're here to help you unfold the awesome soul you already have. For my reading today, as we prepare for today's message from Jermaine, I share these thoughts. Hopelessness is the dark suspicion that things will get worse, not better. Whenever we see the future with more clouds, more darkness, more trouble, more pain, more problems, we invite the spirit of hopelessness to invade our being and possess us. On the other hand, if we truly see a better way for the future, the sun shines and we find hope, even in the presence of trouble, pain, problems, and darkness. In the New Living Translation Bible, Hebrews 13:3 says, "Don't forget about those in prison. Suffer with them as though you were there yourself. Share the sorrow of those being mistreated as though you feel their pain in your own bodies."
Good morning, everybody. The song that I'm about to sing, I don't presume to know.
Yeah, you speak up.
Speak up a bit. Yep. Okay. Is this better? Yes. Okay. I just don't want you to think that I really know how it is not to be free. I'm very privileged and know it, but you know, we can be trapped in all kinds of ways, not just in a jail cell, but sometimes by our own stubborn pride. And I don't presume, as I said, to know what it is not to be free. But I want to sing this song in honor of our speaker today, who really got to know what it was like and yet has had the courage to do wonderful things now that he is no longer in that awful position. And so I'm very humbled to be able to have the chance to sing this song. It was written by Billy Taylor, a great jazz pianist and composer who headed the jazz program at Kennedy Center for many years. He's no longer with us, but you can listen to him on YouTube anytime. And the singer who really knows how to sing this song, Nina Simone, she's up there too. To be free, wish I could break all these chains holding me. I wish I could say the things you know I could say 'em loud, say 'em clear for the whole to hear. I wish I could share all the love in my heart. Wish I could remove all the bars keeping us apart. Wish you could know what it means to be me, then you'd see and agree. Everyone must be free. Share what I want to give. Wish I could live how I'm longing to live. I wish I could do all of the things I can do, though I'm starting anew, 'cause I'm way overdue. I wish I could be like a bird in the sky. How sweet it would be if I found I could fly with that sword of the sun. Look down at the sea and I'd sing, oh, I'd sing, 'cause I know how it feels to be free, how it feels to be free. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pam. So today we're very honored to have Jermaine Williams joining us to share with him a sermon on humanity making space for humanity. And by way of introduction, I want to have a little video. So if we can watch the screen, we'll have this video for you here.
go through incarceration and come out unscathed. With everything I've been through over the course of my lifetime, my life was never on the track that I would have liked it to be on in the first place. I spent my entire young life as a child, adolescent, being somebody else's responsibility. Now fast forward, I go into the system as a teenager, as an adolescent, and I become somebody else's responsibility. Or for any individual who's had to spend any amount of time incarcerated, being told what they can and can't do, when they can and can't eat, where they can and can't go, right? In essence, you don't even really truly have an opinion. And that may sound crazy, but it's the truth. It's the fact of the matter. Because even with you exercising your opinion, there are sometimes consequences that come with that. And at the end of the day, you're still a prisoner. I was fortunate enough to know a few people who were involved with the Freedom Project. One of those people being a very, very dear friend of mine who created space and an opportunity for me to get involved with the Freedom Project. So I volunteered with the Freedom Project initially upon release, and then shortly thereafter I ended up becoming the director of Freedom Project East. So it's important for me to do this work and be involved in this work and with this project, because I know how difficult it was for me from a psychological and emotional standpoint when I first released from confinement. And so now I think about other people who have to suffer a similar plight, and I want to do every and anything that I possibly can in order to make their transition a more humane one. For those people who are formerly incarcerated and you're out here in the community and you're trying to establish yourself, you're trying to find a way, right? Believe that you can and you will. There are resources out here available for you. Sometimes it's just difficult to access them. Understand that you have value, you have worth, right? And you have something amazing to contribute to this community out here. And we plan on bringing it here to Spokane. That I guarantee.
Please join me in welcoming the Director of Freedom Project East, Jermaine Williams.
Thank you all kindly. Thank you for having me here. Pardon my emotion. It never fails. It never fails. Every time that video is played in any space, it's emotional for me, because while it's my life and I lived it and I'm obviously the person in the video, just understanding where I came from and how I got here. I don't have time to tell you the entire story. I wouldn't dare venture to tell you the entire story. I'll spare you that. I will say this though. I want to first and foremost thank the Creator of all things and all people, existence, and everything in between. That's always important to me. There was a time, and I think I was explaining this to Gordon on Wednesday, there was a time where if I didn't have faith and belief in something, some power, some source, larger than myself, more compassionate than myself, more capable than myself, I would have never made it. Literally, I would have never made it. I would have lost my mind. I would have lost my heart. I would have lost my humanity. And in essence, I would have lost my life. Literally, had I not believed in something greater than myself. So it's always something greater than me that compels me to do the work that it is that I do. I'm merely a vessel, and I stand on that. I stand on that. When I think of where I started in my life, right, to this point that I am now, I appreciate the trajectory that I'm on. I appreciate the path that I'm on. But it's still just the beginning of everything I plan on doing and everywhere I plan on going. And I'll try not to have you folks here too long. I know y'all want to get to this good coffee, and I want to see you all get to this good coffee. I really appreciate what happened moments ago with this being the last service in Women's Month, right? And I'm going to tell you why. I didn't plan on talking about this, but I speak from my heart anytime that I speak. It's a few reasons why that means so much to me, why that matter. I really appreciated the presentation that y'all put together, truly. I'm not saying that just because it sounds good or because it looks good. I think about a quote. I think about a quote from Assata Shakur. Very powerful woman, very inspirational woman, very motivational woman, very controversial figure in many ways too. But her quote is something that you'll understand in just a moment. Quote, "If there is anything that I know at all, it's that a wall is just a wall and nothing more at all. It can be torn down." End quote. One more time. Quote, "If there is anything I know at all, it's that a wall is just a wall and nothing more at all. It can be torn down." End quote. Assata Shakur, right? I think about physical walls, emotional walls, psychological walls, financial walls, spiritual walls, gated communities, right? The things that we build, and it's not even the community, but the physical gates themselves that we build sometime in order to box ourselves in to what we call a community to keep ourselves safe when we're more affluent, when we have a little more privilege, right? When in all honesty and actuality, we're a little more afraid of the influences that may get inside of our community, our square, our box. Is it a coincidence that more often than not, communities or neighborhoods are built in a square-like form? Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think that that was our design. I think that if folks who were exercising more humanity or making more space for humanity would have built those communities would probably be more circular, right? Because it includes everyone. Maybe they'd be built like the infinity symbol, right? Because that's dope, for lack of a better term, right? That's absolutely amazing. That's phenomenal, great to look at. Who doesn't want an infinity symbol on their finger, right? Or more accurately, it will probably be built like a heart, right? The essence of love. The essence of love. So I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence at all. The song that was sung just a little bit ago, I thank you for that. I definitely thank you for that. It would not have been my choice, but I thank you for that. My choice literally was Wide Open Spaces by the Dixie Chicks. Literally, right? Who doesn't know what I'm talking about, right? I was in Walla Walla, Washington State Penitentiary, and that's one of the most racially separated, segregated, and charged environments I've ever been in my life. Ever been in my life. And when I was in that place and in that space, I used to sit in my room on my bunk, and I would put that song on, and this was when tapes were popular. I would rewind it and rewind it and rewind it and rewind it. Some of you all had CDs, I had a tape. I would rewind it and rewind it and rewind it, and I would look out the window, and I would just think about that. I would think about that, wide open spaces like that, just the idea of getting out and venturing out. And at that time, it felt like I had forever. I'll come back to that in just a moment. And then the other song that I used to listen to was by Nelly. It's called Fly Away. It's called Fly Away. And it's the theme song for the movie The Longest Yard. The original was done with Burt Reynolds, you know, and then of course they did the remake many, many years later. And I used to listen to those two songs on repeat and just wonder, what would it feel like? So when you talked about, or when they talked about in the song, like, wish I was a bird and I had wings, that's what they were talking about. I used to walk around prison yards sometime, and I'm not gonna bore you all with a lot of prison stories, but I was 17 when I got in trouble. I turned myself in 4 months after turning 18. They sentenced me to 36 years. I did 25 years in 3 months. For all you mathematicians or mathematics out here, I want you to do the math on that. I released May 4th of 2020. I haven't been out 3 years yet. Don't let my title or my positionality or whatever little piece of privilege I might have fool you. This is hard work, and it's by design, and it's a greater power or a greater source than just myself, right? But now let's go back to those numbers. 17 just after turning 18. So 18 years and 4 months in society, from the time I was born to the time I became confined. Not even 3 years now in society since I released. That's 21 years, right? It would be 21 years. I did 25 years and 3 months inside. So what that means is that I've spent more of my life in confinement than I've spent in society, right? So I used to walk around the yard at different places, and I used to wish I could fly away. I used to go deeper than that. I used to go deeper than that for people who are visual people. I used to go deeper than that, and I used to imagine sometime, what would it be like? What would it be like? Because I believe in God, and I believe that God's hands are not tied, and I believe that God has the ability to do any and everything in creation. In Arabic, there's a term we use. I want to make sure I don't get it mixed up with all these different terminologies I have going on in my mind right now. Inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir, which means verily God is able to do everything. There's no restrictions. I used to imagine sometime, what if these eagles or these ravens or these hawks just came and picked me up and took me over the fence? What would that be like? And I used to smile to myself just like I'm doing now. And then after that, I would get, a little anxious and be nervous, like if that actually happened, and I probably had to worry about the guards shooting me down, because now technically I'm an escape prisoner. It's amazing how life happens, but it's not about pessimism. Not today. Not today. This is all about optimism. Freedom Project East has been a gift in my life, and I'm pretty sure that the folks who I work with at Freedom Project would say the same thing about me. They constantly remind me, like, bro, you're amazing. One thing that we've always known about you, even in the system, is that you show up. However you need to, you show up. Out here in the community, people like to say you show up and you show out, right? You get there, you show up and you show out. You do your thing. Pardon my colloquialisms, but I am who I am, and that's just who I am. So one of the things that's important for us as an organization and me as an individual is, as a human being, to make space for other human beings. I really believe that there's something inherently amazing about each and every one of us. There's something inherently genius about each and every one of us. I believe that. With my entire being, I believe that, right? Your name doesn't have to be Albert Einstein for you to be a genius. It just doesn't, right? Your name doesn't have to be Thomas Edison for you to be a genius. It just doesn't. Your name doesn't have to be Amelia Earhart, right? For you to be innovative, for you to do something, for you to fly beyond places that people never thought that you would. I believe that. I believe that every human being in existence in creation, regardless or irrespective of the horrible choices, it's a little judgmental, but it's honest for me. Regardless or irrespective of the horrible choices they may have made, is genius at something. Absolutely genius at something. I tell people all the time, art imitates life. So when we watch movies, it's a reason that we can identify with those characters. When we watch stories, it's a reason that we identify with the characters in the story. When we listen to songs, there's something about that resonates with us. When we look at the construction of, and we're probably at a place and a point we don't even think about how planes or Airbuses were constructed. We probably don't even think about that, right? Before planes, there were birds. Art imitates life. Before planes, there were bees. Art imitates life, right? I took a flight some years back, shortly after I came home, and now I'm at a place and a point where I was very conscious, very cognizant, very aware of myself and what was going on within me internally, what was going on outside of me externally, and I took a flight. And one of the things I always wanted to do, because I never knew if I was going to be released from prison or not. I was sentenced to 36 years, though I did 25. I was released early, for lack of a better term, right? If you can call 25 years and 3 months early. So not ever knowing if I was going to be released from confinement or not, I would look up at the sky at any institution I was at and try to catch the birds flying around, try to catch planes if I could. And in some places we didn't have very many planes flying overhead. Like when I was at Coyote Ridge Correction Center, right out there in the desert, Connell, Washington, didn't have very many planes flying overhead. So I told myself, if ever I'm in a position to ride a plane again, I'm gonna make sure I sit by the window. Or at least I'm gonna try. At least I'm gonna try. You know, in relationships sometime, in my relationship sometime, you know, my partner is the boss, and so if she wants the window seat, she's gonna get the window seat. And it doesn't have to be International Women's Month either. She's gonna get that seat. And I'll just be lurking over her trying to look out the window. I was fortunate though one day that I rode the plane for the first time in a long time, and I'm looking out the window, and I saw something I had never thought about before, because I didn't have any frame of reference. I'm looking at the earth from the sky. And when I'm looking at the earth from the sky, I realize like what it looks like to me. I don't know what it looks like to everybody else, but two things stood out to me. When I'm looking at the way that different areas are constructed, it reminded me, one, of a quilt. You know how you have patches on a quilt? That's the first thing that came to me. Oh my goodness, this looks like a quilt. Like somebody just sewed this thing together. And then when I'm looking at these bodies of water, especially the streams and the rivers and stuff like that, I'm saying to myself, it looked like somebody took their finger and put it in the earth and just started just doing whatever they wanted to do with it. Right? Man-made or otherwise. That's what I was thinking about. That's where my mind was. That's where my heart was. That's where my soul and my spirit was. Understanding that it's only by the permission of the Most High, who I believe in, that I have the ability to get on a plane, elevate, ascend, fly, make it wherever I make it, descend, get off that plane, and still have my faculties in place when I get off that plane, right? Just one of those things that so many of us take for granted. We don't even think about it. We just fly. It's what we do, right? We use first class to change the forecast. It's cold. You know what? I'm going to Vegas. It's just what we do. It's no big deal. But I don't have the luxury of taking these things for granted. I don't have the luxury of taking these things lightly. So as I segue into wrapping this up, Brian Stevenson is an individual who's famous for a lot of reasons. The movie Just Mercy, for anybody who ever saw it, the book Just Mercy, for anybody who read it, and Michael B. Jordan played his character in the movie. But more important than the movie and the book, Brian Stevenson and the Equal Justice Initiative, EJI, they did research. Brian Stevenson has started working fresh out of law school, he has started working in a prison, a penitentiary in Georgia, if I recall correctly. Please fact check. Anytime I say anything, please fact check it. You all have phones and laptops and everything else. I like to think I'm open to correction, right? I make mistakes. I'm very fallible, very. But please fact check anything I ever say to you. Public or private, always fact check it. That's important to me. Because integrity is integral. And if I'm not exercising integrity in my life, then it doesn't make a difference, right? So Brian Stevenson, if I recall correctly, he started his career working in a penitentiary in Georgia. And initially he started helping people who were on death row. Over some time, Brian Stevenson realized something. The vast majority, if not all, of the prisoners that he was helping that was on death row, that were on death row, happened to be black. They happened to be people of color. But he realized something more important than that. Part of what he realized is what helps me stand here today in front of you fine folks, instead of being in prison right now. What he realized is that the vast majority of these people, if not all of these people, had some form of childhood trauma in their life that was unhealed, that was undealt with. Needs, emotional, psychological, financial, spiritual, or otherwise, that were unmet, right? So once that took place, like, he took on a lot of cases with children. And then he started to realize that there were a plethora of children across the United States, especially Florida, especially in down south. For some reason, whatever that's about, I'm not sure. I'm grateful to be up here in the Pacific Northwest and in the Northwest, but it's something about whatever's going on down south. Like, they talk about the school to prison pipeline. It might be a little deeper than that. So when he did this research, right, it's been scientifically proven that a mind is not fully developed, a brain is not fully developed in males, females, and non-binary folks until well into their mid to late 20s. Well into our mid to late 20s. I want you to think about 2 points. For anybody who's rented a car or knows anything about rental car places, they won't rent you a car until you're 25 years of age unless you have a cosigner. 25 years of age. I don't care that you're wealthy and 21 years old. I don't care that you're 22 and you have a license. I don't care that you're 23 and you have insurance. They will not rent a vehicle to you without a cosigner or a guarantor unless you are 25 years of age. What does that tell us? That tells us that they understand how impulsive acts work. That tells us that they are so invested in not losing money. I don't even think it's about the lives lost. They're so invested in not losing money, they're not going to take a chance on you being overdeveloped at an age prior to 25 years of age. But for some reason, we have a tendency, and I say we just as humanity, we as the system, we have a tendency to throw our children away prior to them reaching the age of 25 years old. Now let me give you another fun fact. Again, fact check this stuff. I didn't come up with this stuff. I'm not brilliant enough to come up with this stuff. I'm my own genius. But I'm not genius enough to come up with this stuff. Otherwise, I would have been out of prison a long time ago. May have never went. The brain. For anybody who knows anything about biology, about science, about medical science, the brain, when it develops, the first part of the brain to develop is the base of the brain, right? Fight, flight, freeze, scared. I'm hungry, thirsty, I want some coffee, right? Maybe feeling a little randy, not in church though, right? Not at service, but I may be feeling a little randy, right? I'm nervous, terrified out of my mind, and I don't know what to do. So I'm either gonna fight, or I'm gonna take off running, or I'm gonna freeze. I'm gonna surrender, right? It's the base of the brain. It's the first part to develop. You know the last part of the brain to develop? The prefrontal cortex. You know what's interesting about the prefrontal cortex? Is that's where our decision-making ability comes from. You want to know another fun fact about the prefrontal cortex? When we find ourselves inebriated, it's the portion of the brain that's shut down. Literally. Some people have a higher tolerance than others. But scientifically and based on biology, and I'm not a scientist, nor am I a biologist, not even a social scientist, just a humble servant who does the work. This part of the brain, our frontal lobe as it's called, our forelock as it's called in a lot of spiritual communities, it shuts down when it's afraid, when it's nervous, when it's starving, when it's randy, when it's not having its needs met, it shuts down. And people say sometimes, I just snapped, or I don't know what happened. I heard a bang and I took off running. I don't know what was going on. What was going on is that you were being a human and you were trying to survive. So you took off to get away from the danger. And once you are removed from the danger, pardon me, I wasn't trying to break that, but I will pay for it. Once you're removed, I will, my organization, I will. Once you're removed from the danger, now your faculties come back. You feel safe again. Your heart rate slows, your blood flows, you can unbulge your fist, You feel so much more fluid, right? You can dance a little bit. Hey, cha-cha. So part of the reason that I do the work that I do, right, is because through Brian Stevenson and the Equal Justice Initiative, what happened was that when they accepted the science, the brain science, they realized that there's no way you can hold a child or even a young adult accountable or completely responsible or legally speaking, culpable for choices that are made prior to them understanding the full extent of the choice or the full consequence. Now, we make choices. Even as children, as a 17-year-old child, I made choices, and I hurt people. Knowing I was hurting people, not understanding the magnitude of the pain I was causing, not understanding the trauma that was going to ensue, and not ever excusing myself from that either. Always accept responsibility for that. I have for a long time now, and I will for the rest of my life. However, also understanding, right, that it's not humane. They're not letting people out of prison because it's the right thing to do. They're not letting children out of prison or adult men now or adult women or adult non-binary folks out of prison because it's the, you know what, this is gonna look great. This is an awesome PR move. Let's let these people go. No, not even close. Not even close. That's not why. The reality is that scientifically and biologically, you have to accept what it is. If we say that our society is based on and rooted in science, if we say that human beings are based on and rooted in biology, then how can we get away from these two fun facts? So for me, what I know is that amazing as I am, or amazing as I may present, or as confident as I may present, the reality is that there are many people still inside who are much more amazing than me, who are much more eloquent than me, who are much more spiritual than me, right? Who are much more gifted than me, who are just as, if not more brilliant, and have more genius than I have. But because I was 17 years of age, when I got in serious trouble, it created space and an opportunity for me to earn my way out of confinement. There are other people in there whose brains were not fully developed when they made the choices that they made, whether it was one choice that cost them the rest of their life, or if it was 1,000 choices that cost them the rest of their life. But because of a technicality or a glitch in the law or in the system, in the way that the law is enacted, from a legislative standpoint, they still sit behind walls, not able to have the privilege to get out here and meet you amazing people and shake hands with you and break stuff like I just did, right? Like they don't have the same luxuries and liberties that I have. This is real stuff. You can't script this stuff. Me and Gordon did not plot that out on Wednesday, I guarantee you. We talked about it though. We did talk about it though. We did talk about it though. So that's part of the reason that I show up in the way that I do. That's part of the reason that some people say that I show out in the way that I do. That's part of the reason that I do the work that I do, because I understand that had people not made space for me and my lived experiences, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, had people not seen my humanity, there's no way I would be who I am today. There's no way I would be on my healing journey today. There's no way I would be able to do the amazing things that it is that I've been able to do up until this point. And again, it's just getting started. But I know that people had to make space for me. People had to see me as more than the sum of my bad decisions. People had to see me as more than the sum of my bad choices. Because the decision comes from here. The choice is what we act out. The choice is what we say. I make the decision to say something, but I may never make the choice to utter those words. I make the decision, right, to get up and go somewhere, but I may never make the choice to call an Uber or a Lyft or put my key in the ignition and drive to where I'm going. That's the thing that I want us to think about and take away from this. When we're talking about humanity, making space for humanity, when we're talking about be with those in prison as if you are in prison with them yourself, I'm not talking about be physically confined. We don't need that. We definitely don't need that. Not at all. I speak for all of us when I say we don't need that. We need you all with everything that you come with, all of your humanity, privilege or not. Good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. I don't care about your race. I don't care about the religion that you choose. I don't care what side of the aisle you choose to sit on. The reality is that you can't do it without us, and we can't do it without you, right? So going back to what Asada Shakur said, going back to what Gordon read biblically not too long ago, going back to the choices of the musical selections from the very first one to the one that you sung, right? We cannot do this without each other unless we don't want the world that we say we want. Now, if we don't want the world that we say we want, then yeah, we can keep on doing it in silos with no problem. Right? We can say it. We can say it's all about freedom. It's all about liberating women. And then we vote, and it's about something else. So when we talk about humanity, making space for humanity, as I wrap with these very last words, please remember as much as possible that we are very much a human ship. Womankind, mankind, humankind, non-binary folks, whatever the case may be. And trauma doesn't care how much money you make. And trauma doesn't care what side of the aisle you sit on politically. And trauma doesn't care what your denomination is. And trauma doesn't care what your age is either. Trauma doesn't have ageism like we do, right? The old men jealous of the young guys when I was 20, right? The young women who won't get out of their own way and realize that the sisters who are older have been their age while they have never been the older sister's age, right? Right? Like, get out of your own way. You're not as amazing as you. You're amazing, but not as amazing as you think. Like, you're not the world. It's just one person. Just a few people. Come on, man. Or in this case, come on, woman. So, do whatever you can, good Lord willing, to make space and understand that we cannot do it without each other. I told Gordon on Wednesday, and I meant every syllable of it, Amazon would not be Amazon without the people who buy from Amazon. Walmart would not be Walmart without the people who buy from Walmart. So for each and every one of us who thinks like, hey man, that big old behemoth, I can't do anything about that. Like, they are who they are. They are what they are. I'm just one person. Clearly, you've never spent the night with a mosquito. I have. I'm 240 pounds. That mosquito gave me wreck, for lack of a better term. Mosquito gave me a hard time. So even if you're as small as a mosquito, sting something. Even if you're as small as a gnat, as gentle as a gnat, we bat gnats away. All kind of stuff, right? Get out the way. But if you can't get to that gnat, it is the most pesky creature in existence. Can I just enjoy my piece of mango without you in my face, please? Right? So be that gnat, though. Buzz around. Make some noise. Get in somebody's way. Maybe they'll put that piece of mango down that might have otherwise choked them to death without them even knowing. People create laws and legislation and practice policies that are choking the life out of them, choking the soul out of them, and they don't even realize, because they're so enslaved to the system, they don't realize that our liberation is tied together. So be that mosquito. Be that gnat, right? Be that wasp. Be that wasp. Just come around, and when you come around, everybody breaks out. Everybody gets out of the environment. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to do anything. Just show up in all your greatness, right? Just be great, because you are, each and every one of you, all of us. So just be great. And above and beyond all of that, just be human, please, God willing. And thank you for this time.
Please stand for our last hymn of the day. It's number 323, either in your gray hymnal or on the screen, Break Not the Circle. Break not the circle of enabling love, where people grow forgiven and forgiving. Break not that circle, make it wider still, till it includes embraces of the living. Come wonder at this love that comes to life, where words of freedom are with humor spoken, and people keep no score of wrong and guilt, but with it human bonds remain unbroken. Join then the movement of the love that frees, till people of whatever race or nation will truly be themselves, stand on their feet, see eye to eye with laughter and elation.
You can join me. Yeah. So my closing words today come from Leon Castell Anderson in the book For the Love of Community. And shall we waste it then, this present day? A gift that's wrapped in clouds and tied with strings of sun and handed to us free? Let's listen to its winds insist. Throw wide your arms and savor it. Let's let its presence wind bright scarves of thought about our minds. And then, let's share this present day, a loaves and fishes sharing, which makes the gift expand to fill the heart with hope. Amen. Blessed be. Salam alaikum and shalom.
Shalom Haverim, Shalom Haverim, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Haverim, Shalom.